Hello everyone, so I did quite a few updates compared with last time where we left off. I added a lot more trees from photo elements on my own, and I don't think I need to repeatedly showing you how do I add more trees by using photo elements, because I think I've been already showing that, so I don't want to bore you guys, and I think you guys get it. So I kind of did a lot of that on my own, so I can move on to other stuff. Right now, I like where it is going right now. Obviously, we need to add a lot more haze in the main building, but I usually save that to the last, and uh, and I need to probably dirty up and maybe damage some of the buildings on the midground and the background, and maybe add a little bit of trees here and there as well. But I'll probably paint it because they are not gonna be as visible as the stuff in the main foreground and our focus here. So some painted in just some silhouettes of the trees and stuff might just be enough. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so here we have another photos of a bunch of moss and vegetations on the rock. This thing will be a good foreground element, so I just kind of quickly using the lasso tool and draw a mask and throw that layer on the on our painting. And I try to position it right, and then go into the mask and paint out the just clean up the mask a little bit. And I just want to take this time and thank whoever come and watch this tutorial. I just uploaded this painting to my DeviantArt 2 days ago, and it's been really amazing, and a lot of people seems to like it, and I received a lot of positive feedbacks. And because I put a link to this tutorial in my DeviantArt, so quite a few people come and started checking this out. So I really appreciate it for whoever comes and check it out. And I'll try to do other tutorials, maybe a little bit more short and sweet in the future. So leave comment and let me know if there's anything specific you want me to do tutorial on, and I'll definitely try to do that. So doing a little bit color adjustment, adjusting lighting a little bit. It's in the foreground, so there's not going to be a lot of contrast. It's definitely more in the darker value grouping. So I try to clean up this part a little bit. So I'm gonna try to replace this this light pole with photo element as well. Gonna rename my layers a little bit. The layer gets really messy kind of at this point, so I kind of need to either rename it, put them in the folders, or at some point I merge quite a few layers together. But I also start to saving up different versions. I think at this point I think I'm at version like 5 of this painting. It's always good to version up. I was working in a game studio in their cinematic team, and I did a shot. The director loves it, but I didn't get to save that different version. So he wanted to go back to the previous version. I cannot. So he's really nice. He didn't kill me or anything, but I feel really bad about it, and I feel it was like the first like the one that impressed him so much is now gone forever. So always save up different versions. So I just kind of use this kind of broken rail or of some sort, since the perspective is kind of similar to what we have. So I just kind of put it in. I kind of just roughly mask it out because I want to kind of keep it as kind of loose as a concept art. So I didn't really spend that much time to do like a perfect mask and things like that. And I just wanted to be clean enough for people to see, okay, yeah, there's a rail there. Again, using the dirt brush to dirty things up a little bit. Kind of change the value a little bit. As I go into the distance, a little bit more haze going on. I mean, this is not really a long rail per se, but definitely start to try to mess up with the value so it kind of fits into the whole thing a little bit better. Do some detail touches here and there. I just started putting a little bit more grass in the foreground. Some really tall and large grass. So again, I go back to the Crisis 3. I think this one of the scene in a pretty early stage of the game. You basically walk into this like grass field. Like the grass is some of the grass as tall as you are, which is pretty interesting. So at this stage, there's just a lot of detail works. So if you zoom out and compare to the previous version, there's not a lot of changes, but yeah, but it's detail work. So when people start to see the full res version, they're gonna notice the difference. So I put a lamppost here. I kind of like this one. It has like a solar panel, so it has a little bit of futuristic look to it. So I kind of just adjust it. I need to break it apart. So using the free transformation tool to try to kind of fuzz with the perspective a little bit. At that point I kind of realized I'll probably have to hand paint it in a lot for this one, to make it look like it fits into the scene. So again, color adjustments so it fits into the scene. Put it in the right position. I flipped that part because the lighting wasn't right. Okay, light is coming from the right side, and even though it's in the foreground, it doesn't really get a lot of light in composition. You want to make sure lighting is in the right direction so it doesn't look weird and awkward. So just do some paint over on top. I try to paint painting that this pole is still actually connected, just a little bit broken and kind of bent down. Again, a few more vegetation dropping down, some grass, some moss kind of hanging on the poles. It's just little details here and there that build up the whole piece. Kind of clean up the background a little bit. Kind of need to paint it out, the initial the initial quick paint for this pole. Yeah, and actually this video sped up, I think, even more because it takes a long time to do details actually. And if I slow it down to 100%, you probably fall asleep like after, I don't know, like 2 minutes or something. So I sped up this one. I actually sped up for like 400%. The previous video I sped up about 300%. I think it's not really fast enough. It gets a little bit too slow here and there. So I just bring another photo in. I use the tree part of that photos, and I want to make it into this kind of thick branch of our foreground tree. So again, let the photo work for you. I mean, even though those are not branches in that specific photo, doesn't mean you can make it branches, right? So I'm making those really thick branch for the foreground. Again, do some really rough mask for it. Yeah, layer gets a little bit messy, so you see me turning on and off just to look for the right layer. Which at some point I think I merged the whole background and midground together. So now I figured that the old paint, the initial painting is not working anymore, and we need to clean things up. So I just clean up the sky a little bit more. So now when I put that tree in, it reveals it reveals the sky and things like that. But also I'll still put something behind it so it doesn't look like cut out like this. Maybe some more trees and some leaves and things like that. So here's a photo that I took, actually just like next to my house. So this is a very basic extraction technique. So you go to channel and you select the most contrast channel, in this case blue, and you copy that channel and use it as an alpha channel. You just kind of color correct it and make it almost just like black and white, and use that as an alpha channel, and you grab that whole layer, and so it preserves the transparency. I can do a tutorial specific on that in the future if you guys are interested to see. So adjust the color again, make it much more dark and warmer. And I really like the detail of this photos, the leaf and everything. So again, create a new dodge layer, color dodge layer, and just painting some light. The thing about leaves is they are subsurface, so when the light hits them, it kind of get diffused inside. It's not exactly transparent, but the light get absorbed. So when you look at the leaf, kind of behind the sunlight, you see that this really beautiful glow from the inside. So when you put some color dodge, when I make a new color dodge layer and paint some light over it, it kind of mimic that effect. So do some paint over on top to just kind of connect the two photos together. Also give a little more human touch, so it's not just strictly photo texture or photo collage. You always want to add some human touch to it, especially this type of painting, which is more or less more of a concept art instead of just like full-on matte painting. It's gonna be in the production. So I just bring in another photo with some crack on the road, up the contrast a lot. So I change it to multiply mode. All the lights kind of get disappear. I only need a shadow shape to suggest the crack, and I only need a little bit. So you see me erasing a lot of the photos, and so it fits into, kind of connects to the crack that I painted. A little detail goes a long way. You don't have to use the whole photos to get details. I think what makes this one fun is that I use a lot of photos, obviously, but I try to make it work with my painting. So like I paint some crack, and maybe I bring in some photos that has crack, and I kind of just connect them together. It's kind of weird for me to keep saying crack. So again, painting more trees on the backgrounds. I'll try to keep them loose because they're in the distance. So when I hand painted those, this will look a little bit more out of focus, a little bit more rough, and because they're not the main focus, right? I don't want to make them super clean in terms of the silhouette and kind of distracting people, because I want people to focus on the main building and all the trees there, obviously. So the background, the background is just something for people to feel the sense of depth and atmosphere. So again, I'm bringing this kind of crack photo of I think concrete, and just sort them up for the buildings. Yeah, to be honest, kind of lazy to paint all the cracks in. I use the same photo for the background, but I scale down a little bit, and I make them much lighter. Because never forget, since in the distance, there's gonna be a lot of haze over it, so you don't want to make it too contrasty. Just enough there to suggest the form, and merge all the cracks into one layer, because I don't need to have so many different layers and things like that. So come back to the trees. Again, using some tree brush to give a little bit more inconsistent edge. Just feel like even though it's in the distance, I want the silhouette to be a little bit more detailed. Since there's still a lot of details on the buildings from the 3D rendering, we try to match that detail level. So when people look at it, they're not gonna feel that, oh, yeah, that looks a little bit too different. There's always this thing when you work off the photo plate or 3D rendering, if your detail level is not doesn't match, if your paint doesn't match the detail level of the photograph or a 3D render, people will notice, and people feel weird about it, because they don't seem to belong together. So I paint some with the chalk brush, and I paint some with the tree brush. Just do whatever seems to work. It's a little bit tricky to find the right color, especially the one in the distance. So I bring in another photo that I took. I just need a texture of a bunch of leaves, so I kind of just copy them around and put them on I believe the soft light mode, I think. And again, I'm creating a multiply layer to add some shadow, a screen layer to add more haze, and a little bit of a light with a color dodge. So I'm fixing the shape of all those trees a little bit, because I feel that it gets a little bit repetitive in terms of shape, even though I didn't try to do it. I think it's just the nature of human. We try to create patterns and things that we feel make sense. So it's very easy, even though we try to do random, a lot of time we still end up doing something that looks like a pattern. So I just use my bush brush to paint a little bit more vegetation on the buildings. Maybe some vines or something that kind of crawl around the building a little bit. Which those little detail really adds on to the to the whole urban jungle theme, that the plants are taking over these buildings. Again, my favorite dirt brush. Dirty things up. we're really close to finish at this point. Again, I feel this one needs a little bit more defined this design crack and hole as well, so just kind of paint one in the corner. Again, like, you know, when you paint something like this in the corner, it feels the form kind of chip off, and just create that little, you know, little natural things, or even design things to kind of give people the sense of like the realism. I mean, this is not a photoreal matte painting, but hopefully it's believable. And paint some more, paint a little bit of hole, so people might not notice it, but behind those trees, you know, there should be some holes so the trees can grow out, right? It's not just like stuck on the outside of the building, right? Does it make sense? So just start to create a new layer on top of the background building, and start painting some shadows that's being cast from all the trees. Those are pretty subtle, but I think it's those subtle details in the painting that really makes it different, right? That really makes it convincing, because there's a lot of subtle details around us in this world. And a lot of time, even though we tend to take them for granted, we still subconsciously perceive them, and you know, and remember them in our brain. So when you do this type of painting, if you can recall those stuff, it'll always help in your design and in your painting. So it comes to the fun part. I just grabbed this image. This image of a Starbucks coffee, and I decide to kind of do that. I didn't plan that in the beginning, but I think in the middle of that, I you know, I always want to put like some signs that people recognize, and just kind of rack it around a little bit so everybody knows Starbucks. So I decided to use this. So you can just kind of color adjust it a little bit, and use a layer mask and take out the parts that I don't need. But I first adjust the perspective a little bit so it fits into the building. Clean up the mask a little bit. Actually, I can probably just use the text tool and kind of just find the font that Starbucks use, and just type it in and kind of tweak it there instead of using a photo. But anyways, this works anyhow. Okay, so put it in the right position. Kind of tweak him a little bit. And again, dirty it up a little bit. It doesn't make sense. The whole building is so rack and dirty, and the Starbucks still so clean. I have nothing against Starbucks, and yeah, and there's no affiliation. I just take it out for fun. I'm not a coffee drinker, by the way. I don't go to Starbucks that often, and to be honest, I think Starbucks coffee is not the best anyways. It's kind of just like McDonald's everywhere. You know, it's convenience for a lot of people. So, but anyways, nothing against Starbucks. I just kind of want to wreck. I really I just want to wreck like a sign or a logo that people can recognize. It's this little things that people recognize and people feel fun or exciting about. So when I put on a DeviantArt, some people notice it, and so a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, they like the wrecked Starbucks logo." which is a fun thing to do. I think there's another piece I did. I use Facebook stuff. The concept was like, the post-apocalypse stuff, and I'm just kind of joke around about the Facebook. So I just say, oh yeah, Facebook take over the world because we access to the whole Facebook database, and there's an AI kind of developed there and learn everything about human. So it's on my DeviantArt page too. You guys can go look at it. But again, things that related to our world that people can relate is always a good thing, because essentially things people can relate, people like it a little bit more. So I kind of tilt the sign a little bit, because when something hit this building, maybe the sign kind of fall off a little bit. So painting a little bit more details here and there, but we're really close to finish. This piece definitely comes a long way. Just gonna clean up the background a little bit. So just do some details over the Starbucks sign, and I think I paint a little bit thickness, paint a little bit of the bevel for the sign, so it doesn't look like it looks like made out of paper and just kind of stick on the buildings. So kind of check back and forth to the original photos, and this video has come to an end. We're almost done here, thank goodness. The next episode will be the last one, which is just adding some more haze, an overall atmosphere, and a little bit of effect, lens flare, things like that. It's gonna be short and a lot of fun. So I will see you guys next time.